Heyo. All right. Today I am joined with Tyson, TenZ, the internet king. What's good, Tyson? How have you
Hello,
been?
hello. I'm doing good.
Doing good. Yeah. So you just got back from Japan for like a little bit of a vacation. Uh, I'm sure you're probably ready to like hop back into it a little bit. I spoke with you at Champions, like in the after party, and you were like super giddy about the team and everything. So how are you feeling, I guess, like going back into practice? Are you like excited?
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty excited. I would say definitely want to like. I'm glad that we're continuing off where we left last year. Because we definitely built the foundation to kind of get everything like in the works. But it was just kind of like unfortunate circumstances. Plus, our roles were fucked up and just a bunch of shit that happened last year. That I mean, we can move on, but we like obviously take it in and like experience it and like try to improve on it.
Yeah. No, I feel you because so before the season started, I'm not gonna lie, like I had you guys pinned as what I thought would be like the best team in VCT Americas. Like I just had a lot of faith in the experience on your guys' squad. What do you think like went so wrong for pretty much like all of Sentinels, right? Because from lock-in, I mean, to be fair, you played Fnatic, but like going into like the first week, you guys ended up beating 100 Thieves, and then from then on, it was kind of downhill. If I'm
Yeah.
being honest, like, what do you think happened to like the team morale and just like the expectations versus reality?
It was definitely like yeah, if you looked on paper and looked at our roster, like we have like three people that have like won a tournament, and especially like the Loud duo that is just fresh off the champions win. So when you're obviously like looking at the roster, it's like damn, like they have everything they need. I do think that we had we do have like really good pieces, but I don't think it was put into motion correctly. And going into the season, I think our like kind of identity as a team was kind of fucked up, and we were trying to figure that out throughout like the entire season. Also, like there's times when like Zach was playing Killjoy, but like probably shouldn't just put like an explosive player like Zekin on a Killjoy. He probably won't feel like too inspired. Or Saucy, he's like a world class Sova, and we had him playing smokes on some maps. So I think it was just it was a wrong approach that we were taking with certain like character or player identities or roles, and I think we were trying to conform to the meta too much when we definitely have like skill wise, our players are top tier.
It's actually so crazy you mentioned that because that first series of VCT that you guys played against 100 Thieves, I was like greening out. When I watched your guys' Fracture and you were playing Double Duelist, I was like, holy shit, this team is so for real. Like they're going to figure it all out. And I felt like that identity was never really found throughout like the whole season. And part of it you could blame is just like the moving chairs, kind of like, you know, Def going out, Don going out, your guys' coach, and then Marv's coming in, and then you going out, and it's just like constantly moving stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think if the original roster, like with Def, actually like made it through, you guys would have like qualified for playoffs, or do you think it was just never going to work out with that roster?
I think it was kind of rough because like Def, he was playing the initiator role, and I think the initiator role, especially like the flash one that I have picked up recently, I think it's definitely more like a second entry, like someone who's also like aggressive, and he was a lot more like a passive player. And so what ended up happening was for spacing, like either me or Zekin, depending on who was playing at the time, it would feel like there was a kind of like a disconnect between us entering and like the rest of the team. And I think it's a lot better like if you look at Forsaken on like Paper X, for example, like he'll play like Harbor, he'll play like stuff like that, and he'll be like running in and like scaling. He's not really like a passive player. He's like a body that'll run in and create space with the other teammates going in. So I think something like that for like your flex player, flash player, stuff like that, I think is really important. And it was just something that we weren't doing.
So I actually like compliment the shit out of your flex play and like LCQ. I thought your like KO on Pearl was insane, and a lot of the things you were doing, just rotating and flashing, and when you were choosing to take duels, seemed really like in line with a top level position in that role. Do you think like in 2024 you're going to be kind of slotting more into flex stuff, or are you staying on duelist, or just like playing this middle ground? Where are you looking to go?
Yeah, so for like my general approach, I'm probably sticking towards like flash initiators. Maybe I might rock out like one duelist map if we're doing a double duelist. But other than that, like I think I kind of see myself on characters like KO or Yoru. I think I'm a lot better suited for that, and actually it just fits my playstyle a lot better. I won't lie, like when I started playing the game, and like obviously you could just put like a really high fragging player on Jet, for example, but I think it kind of like put me on the wrong path for the game, or just the way that the game was gonna be played for in the future.
Well, I remember the days of you playing like Viper and shit. And like you like literally found stuff in the game. How would you describe yourself as a player? Because I know how I would describe you, and I'm curious like how you would describe yourself.
I'm very like Kaplan normally he comments on this a lot, but he says he likes my creativity. And so
Dude, that was the first thing I was thinking.
Yeah. So when I'm given the freedom to like both play in like a supportive and a role where like that's the thing I love about playing like the Flash Initiator is like I can constantly just be thinking about ways to set up my team in like unique ways, or even just like the simple ones, but I'm always looking out for it. And obviously I don't have to like focus on aiming. It'll come like second nature for me. And I just like thinking about that constantly, and it kind of helps me like get more in tune into the game and get more like involved. Obviously like everything in me as a player will get boosted a lot when I'm on a role like that, because I'm a lot more vocal, and when I'm vocal, I feel a lot more in the game.
So I didn't know that you had that like creative side to your game, and then when we came to Valorant from CS, I just saw all of these clips of you like innovating and finding these like crazy things within the game. Like you were, I want to say you were the first person like hopping on the Sage walls like in mid, you know, like on Split where you would jump on that box.
Maybe
use like the crouch jump thing.
Oh yeah, like yeah.
And then at like logs on Ascent, you found that one too. Mm-hmm. Like, do you just like go around customs and just like tinker with the game at all, like when you're offline?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a bit of a nerd. I love just like going in, finding like lineups and stuff. That's also like one like little like I'm like kind of like a perfectionist in that degree, where I try to like perfect certain things about my game. So I'll be trying to find like different boosts or different angles I can play. I'll be trying to like perfect my flashes. So that's like one thing I'm like really picky about.
I'm having like this revelation right now. So would you say you're more of like a VOD watcher or like a custom server like innovator? Like where would you put yourself?
I say definitely a custom server innovator, I'd say, because I like just being in the server and just like seeing, like walking around the map, and I can just kind of like create ideas a lot better for myself. But obviously like a VOD here and there is like really, really good, and like can kind of spark that creativity.
Yeah, dude, I feel that's so like that's how I am. I use VODs to like spark my creativity, but it sounds like you have like a much higher creative drive than I do. Dude, we got to get you on like Paper X or some shit. That's all I'm thinking while you're saying this is like, dude, I feel like Tyson is just the missing ingredient right now in Paper X. Dude, this is so cool. Because I feel like I agree. A lot of things that you've done in like 2022, 2023, you have innovated a lot, but I do feel like you haven't had the proper like team cohesion. Like even going back to 2022, you guys were dealing with like a lot of fucking craziness on that Sentinels team when Shaz was in play, and then you had Shroudy step in for LCQ. Like what was that year like? Because it's been forever. Like you were on top of the world in 2021, and I'm not saying you're not anymore. Like you literally just won what, Gamer of the Year like a long ago. So
let's see, what even happened. I think like honestly like our decline, it was just kind of when like so after we won like the tournament and all, I think like we had some players that had like some personal issues, and so I think like a really important part of like the reason why previous Sentinels roster that like kept winning was so good, I think is because also like Hunter was probably like a pretty integral part, especially with like Haven, for example. Like it kind of showed what our players could really do when we're like in our comfort roles. And it's kind of interesting when I was playing Jet with Hunter. Sometimes I do like Jet in a supportive way, and it was also like you kind of see it when we played in the I think we played in the Ludwig tournament, and we had a Pearl comp where it was like Zach was on Neon or Raze or some shit, and I was on Jet. But you kind of see me like go into like a support Jet mode while entering with him, and it's kind of like interesting and playing like that. I think the game has shifted a lot more where like the Jet's like the main like space creator, like run into the site with like a sky flash, stuff like that. So I think it definitely became more like passive for the meta overall, but it's kind of troll to like not play Sky or like KO over playing like a Phoenix, just because those characters have such like good kits for like information, but also like team setting up.
So do you think like info agents are integral in like the top level of Valorant right now, based on where we're at in the meta?
Yeah, I would say so. Just because like it's just like a constant game of information, right? And if you have these like characters that just give you like free info, and you get like the right piece of info at the right time, and you know like what space you currently have, what space you don't have, it can kind of make it easy for like your defense rotates or to like play with their rotates on attack. So I definitely think it's like really important.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like pretty much we're at the point right now in Valorant where if you don't have like a star duelist, a star initiator, and like a star controller, you're in big fucking trouble.
Yeah.
And you should be able to like flex around like all these different comps and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think like kind of going back to like the 2021 and like even early 2022 days, do you think all of the drama with Brazil affected you guys at all? Like the thing
No.
with Zoms?
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so.
Okay, because I know you're like kind of, you're not really like the type to do all of that kind of craziness, you know? Like
Yeah.
you avoid all of like the drama, and that Sentinels team was fucking wild. Like you guys were like batting the Hornet's nest like
Yeah.
every day, like looking for the drama. I
Yeah.
was like, bro, is TenZ gonna like be cool with this?
Bruh, I would wake up, look at Twitter, I'd be like, what the fuck? like, what are my teammates doing? Let's just play some Valorant.
Yeah, what was it like going from that to like playing with Saucy and Pencada?
It's funny. It's funny. Yeah.
Did they ever like joke about it?
Yeah, I mean, they always like say like the one thing that's like annoying is like whenever what's that thing? It's like the Valorant thing. It's like what? Like the very Zoms thing. They're like
Yeah.
they can't hear that.
Wait, what do you mean they can't hear that?
Like they just don't like it. They don't
Oh,
like it.
okay, I see what you mean. That's actually hilarious. What is it like playing with them? Are they like because the rumor with Saucy is that he was very critical on Loud. Like he was like a super critical, very intense player to play with. What is that like for you?
So personally for me, like if you look at Saucy, he's a very like motivated individual, and he's like really passionate, and I think it's important. I think me as a player, I feel more inclined to like even put more effort and or like energy when I see other people around me doing it. Like I think I feed off the energy a lot. So having like a player like him where he's not scared to like be critical, and I think that's really good. And I think you need someone like that on a team where they can just say like, hey, we fucked up. Like we need to look at this. I think it's really important.
So is Saucy like super involved in say, I mean, is he involved in like comp design or like in-game calls or mid-rounding or?
I'm actually not sure exactly what the structure is right now, but when we're looking at the previous season, then I think it was like Def, Dawn, Kaplan, Drew, and Saucy all doing comps and stuff, and like looking at stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure he was like definitely had a say.
Yeah, because I would imagine, like a veteran presence like that having a lot to say about all of those things.
Yeah.
It's just I didn't know, like how comfortable he felt. His English is really fucking good at this, especially at this point. How's Pankata's improved? Because I know initially it was like rocky, apparently, but now at this point, I've listened to him do interviews and it's significantly better.
Yeah.
Right?
I would say his English is pretty good. I think the only thing was he was kind of shy with his English. So even still, like sometimes he can be a little bit shy and kind of like convey his frustrations through Saucy to convey to us. So that can happen sometimes, but it's getting better every day. Like he's improving a lot. And so he's gotten like a lot better. Like if you look from the start of the season to now, it's like a night and day difference for just like his confidence, but also just like the level of English he's at right now.
Yeah. Does he ever sing for you guys? Ever like bust any fucking raps out? The Taco Leo rap?
Oh yeah. He'll pull up like the Brazilian songs and like start singing along to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I was hoping you guys would walk out to that shit. Can you guys please walk out to a Pankata rap this next year? Like that would be so
I'd be
dope.
down. I'd be down.
That'd actually be so sick. I was hoping that it would happen for LCQ and it just didn't happen and I was devastated. What do you make of the people calling you like scrimmers and shit right now? I don't know if you've seen all that, but like people are like, oh yeah, Sentinels always good in scrims.
You know what? Yeah, we're a little bit of scrimmers. I think it's just because the pressure is like off. I think the pressure is like kind of playing into like our performances a little bit, and just because it's like what I talked about previously. Like we have all the pieces there. Like we have like three players that have like won a tournament, and fucking Zekin, who's just like a fucking animal. So, like obviously there's like really high pressure, and so sometimes like you might feel like the nerves a little bit when you're playing the matches, but when you're playing the scrims, like definitely we're unleashed there.
Yeah. What's Zach like in a match? He looks so intense. I feel like he's a tilter. No.
No, he's not a tilter. Dude, he brings the energy. I love him. He's amazing. When I first like played, I was so what's the word called? Impressed with just like him as a player as a whole. Like him at this age and just playing that well, but also like having the level of comms that he does is really impressive. Because like when I was playing like CS, for example, and like climbing the ladders, like it's kind of like hard to see someone that was like kind of like a complete package, like mechanics, comms, energy. Like he brings it all.
It's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah,
it's actually really crazy. Like he can play a lot of roles. He's super young, and it seems like he can support at a high level already, which is insanely rare. And then he still has that like naive, I'm going to take all the fights because I'm going to win them all type mentality, which is insane to have when you're that skilled. What pressure do you feel like when you're playing? Speaking of like the no pressure thing, because you're at the point now where like you've been the fucking GOAT, you've won titles, you have a big stream brand, so like you could always fall back on that. And honestly, like in the middle of this whole fucking question, let me just like commend you for like fighting for your competitive side here, because I know monetarily it's not the best option probably for you. But what pressure do you feel like when you play right now?
I guess it's just like more of the like not living up to like the expectations, but I do think the expectations on me are like pretty fucking high.
They're super high.
I don't know, like I think people just expect me to drop at 30 every match, but obviously if you look at Valorant then and Valorant now, it's not really the same thing. And so it's very like unrealistic.
Dude, I agree. I think like a lot of the criticisms you've gotten in the last like year are super unfair, given like the instability within your teams, first of all, the instability within your role, and the instability within you actually playing, because like you've had to deal with like so much shit in both the server, your physical health, your relationship, stuff like that. What has that been like on like your mental, like just constantly having to take these breaks and like come back into it?
Yeah,
you know, like the time off to just be in your head the whole time.
I mean, I definitely dealt with it like a lot better, because I would like get kind of down on myself. But like growing up, I kind of have like my coping mechanisms and stuff that like I know that like I can make myself feel better. And I think that just comes with like time and maturity. But um, yeah, like definitely. I would say like I'm probably like a confidence-based player too, and probably going into like this year and just like having a bunch of bullshit happen. I was not definitely like in my proper headspace to play as if I was like one of the best. And I think like you gotta bring like a certain level of ego when you're playing. Like when I was playing back in Iceland, for example, like I kind of thought everything was like really easy, and for that reason, I was just stupid confident, like doing anything. Um, but I do think it's like really really important to have that like kind of mindset for yourself, and not like you don't have to necessarily display like an ego or anything like that. But it's good to have like a self ego to like have your confidence to like know you're gonna win a fight when you like take it. And I think it's pretty good.
A demon one mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. You want that in your star duelist, but then yeah, you don't want them to be so egotistical where they can't even like listen to the call, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard line to walk. And also it's like when you start playing, you start getting burned by things, and then you change that, and you know the community gives you this feedback, so you feel a little bit sensitive going against, you know, like the stuff that the community narrative is saying.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy to like do that, especially someone in the spotlight like you are.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you didn't like entering recently.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, are you staying by that? Like you just never really feel like you weren't really an entry player, you just played Jet a lot.
Yeah. So that was like kind of like the interesting about me. I think my play style was very suited for the meta in the past, and so I think because of that reason I kind of have to like reinvent myself. But I think it's like for the better, honestly. Like I feel like a lot better doing this, and I feel like my creativity is a lot more present when I'm not just stuck on Jet duty 24/7. And I mean, Jet's a fun agent and all, but if you play it for 2 years straight, just constantly, I mean, it can get kind of tedious and boring.
Especially when they're taking away your shit and making
Yeah.
up less time, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, and like honestly, I definitely feel like the direction that we're approaching right now, for like my specific role, I feel a lot more comfortable, and I think it will work a lot better. Like, I won't say like I don't know how to create space, but I just think my value isn't in that degree. It was kind of like when I was playing Jet and like Hunter was on Phoenix and we were running it down. Like I was kind of playing a supportive Jet. Like I wasn't a true entry. I would kind of see what he's doing and then complement what he's doing. So I'm a lot more of a player that's like more complementing. And also it's the same thing where like I don't really have a decisive decision on what I want to do. So when I hear someone say like, oh, I want to do this, like I want to take this peak, then I'll be like, okay, I can help you this way or that way. So stuff like that. Like I don't really like say like, oh, I'm gonna go in like this. Can you support me in this way? So I'm a lot better for supporting other players rather than supporting myself. And then when other people like know what they're doing, I feel like I can complement it a lot better.
Yeah, I think you've been that type of player. I feel like I never actually got into like how I perceive you. I don't even know if you care, but so like when you played CS, I feel like you were that same style of player, right? Where you did have aggression. Like if you saw holes in the map, you would definitely take it, right?
Yeah.
Like every time, which is what I feel like you're like in Valorant, where you want to like play off of someone and you want to like have the info in front of you, or like some idea as far as like what the other team is going to do. And once you understand that, you know exactly how to like dissect it and kind of like rip it apart. And a lot like how you said, I think your biggest strength is your creativity and your innovation. Obviously, like your mechanics.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I'm kind of like bucketing that because it's obvious. But I think your mechanics and your like creativity are your strongest suits, and then you definitely are like a insanely good vibe to have on the team. Like that's something that I feel like no one could probably take away from you. I can't even imagine you yelling at someone. Has it ever happened?
I don't even know. It was funny. Like Saucy was like sometimes like I can't be critical of Tyson just because he's like a puppy. He's like he doesn't get mad. Like there's something wrong.
Dude, like I would feel so bad getting upset at you. I think
Yeah.
we played like one tournament together in CS. Do you remember that?
It was
like
a qualifier, right?
Yeah, it was like me, you, Sam,
Yeah, I
Obo.
remember that. I remember
It was
that.
like literally me and like the youngins of CS at that time.
Yeah.
It's so insane, actually. Sam, Obo, TenZ. So from those days, who do you think is like the most influential in like your career? Like who taught you to take in the game this way and like build your game this way?
That's a good question. I played with a bunch of like
Yeah.
people in CS. Let's see. I gotta think about.
Right? Was one?
Yeah, I played with Shinobi. I played with Imsta and also PTR, and I think those are like the players I played with like the most for like a kind of like an IGL and or like leading way. Let me think. Who else? Odig, like Ocean.
Oh shit, OG.
Yeah, I probably got like the chillness from him.
He found you, right?
Yeah, that was my first like Premier / MDL team.
Dude, OD dug up so many diamonds from the
Yeah.
rough in CS. It's insane. It's actually crazy. So you think like those three? What about like in Valorant? Like how would you? Has like anyone been like pivotal as far as like teaching you like? You know, I know you've got the micro down, but like macro wise, like from top down, like has there been like coaches or IGLs that you think have been most impactful?
I'd say probably the person I've actually learned from the most in a coaching standpoint is probably Kaplan. Like I think from just like this year alone, I've actually like learned a lot and just like different ways to like look at the game that I didn't look at it before. And so I think he kind of like deepened my like understanding on just like how Valorant should be played in general.
Hell yeah, dude. Like I love Coach Cap. I mean, I was him a little bit for some of the bits last year. I don't know if you saw that shit. That was pretty embarrassing. But so I was pretty happy to see you guys brought in John and johnqt and you kept Kaplan because they had worked together previously.
Yeah.
I liked the stuff John was calling on M80, and I always thought the players of M80 gave him a shit ton of credit in interviews, which is pretty rare for IGLs to get that level of credit. Like how have they been together, and are you like excited for those two now? Like, I mean, you were super fucking excited when you came up to me and you were like, guess who we're playing with, and I was literally starting to guess at the Champions After Party, and then some other fucker like interrupted our convo. And I didn't want you to like leak anything in front of it, so I was just like, I'll never know who they're playing with right now. Like, I was so upset at that person.
It's been pretty good. I actually think like role wise, John is actually just like everything that we wanted and more. Because like if you look at like the roles, right? So like me on Flex, Zach on Duelist, and then we have Saucy, Pancata, like Initiator and Smokes. I also think like the season, like we were kind of like plagued with role issues where like Saucy was on fucking Smokes or Pancata was on Killjoy, stuff like that. So it wasn't really like comfort roles ever. And so for the first time ever when we're playing, like dude, John can play anything. So if we're playing a double controller comp, it's just like, okay, John can rip a controller and what's it called? And like Brian can go back to like just owning on Omen and stuff like that. I think it's like really, really good for player comfort and just like being confident with like the characters that you're playing and just like the role you're playing and making sure that like it stays, it stays like consistent. Like when you're switching roles constantly or switching like play styles, it can kind of fuck you up. I mean, I kind of felt that playing Jet constantly, where on defense you're like kind of like an op turret, but then on attack you're the entry. It was kind of like really hard to just like go from one mode to the next and not like overheat.
Yeah, especially like how you guys were doing that too. Like, I don't think people understand what you mean necessarily. So like a Jet in like a double duelist split comp is so different than like a Jet in a double duelist like bind comp. So different than a Jet in like a single duelist comp in like one of the other maps, like say like Pearl or something previously. You know, like, and you were switching between like KO and those styles of jet. So basically you're switching from like the actual entry to second in to potentially like lurking in extremity at times.
Yeah.
To, you know, like those spacings are weird, and that totally changes how you perceive the game. So I do think like that actually probably played a big factor in like a lot of your guys' like issues last year.
Yeah, I would agree.
I kind of want to like pivot completely right now. I'm going to ask you, did you get a chance to watch Sideshow's video?
No, I kind of like saw like a little bit. Like I think I saw like a YouTube comment or something like that, like a synopsis of the video.
Yeah.
And it was just mainly on like our spacing and just like our it was like us as a team just not being on like the same page, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that when I watched it, I was like, oh, I guarantee you they talked about this stuff. Like, I guarantee you. And it's even like a lot of the things, while you did do things like wrong in the clips, it's like, how do I explain this? In Valorant, it's so weird. Things just avalanche and cascade down so fast. Like, someone hears a sound and this person reacts in that way, and then your teammate is going to react differently because of that. And all of a sudden now the duelist is like out on an island, and it's not necessarily only the duelist's fault because of all of these things that happened. And it's so delicate. Like I did understand his point in some of the clips, but do you feel like that criticism was fair? I guess you didn't really get a chance to listen into it, but I'm sure you've read like a lot of the stuff coming your way. Do you feel like it's fair?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't playing our best, and like we definitely weren't doing shit together. There was definitely like a disconnect there, and I think it's just like it comes down to like comfortability too, and it was like stuff that I wasn't really comfortable with, and that I didn't really do prior, just because the meta was like a lot different when we were doing double duelists instead of single duelists. So, I guess like the way I was playing was definitely like I was a little bit too antsy, or like I was like too ready to like go in and just like full send, and I needed to like taper that back and like understand how to entry a lot better. But then again, like if like when we were looking at it and when we were playing with the roles, it was like, okay, like Tyson, you're a lot better like suited for like this stuff, and like I completely agreed with everything that like our coaching staff said.
Do you remember the eco round against Leviathan? Because that round I remember seeing in Sideshow's video, and I'm sure that shit, like, you guys fucking probably talked about that round so much, right? Like the eco round on Split, where like you and Zekin storm into the site, and then Saucy loses the spike in heaven. Do you remember that?
Shit, I do not remember.
No, it was like the eco on the second map, and it's kind of like just what you guys won the pistol, and then you just got ecoed on like the second round.
Yeah,
and it just kind of like spoke to literally everything that went wrong for you guys like the entire season. Like I can't even like pin the blame necessarily on like one person, but it's one of those things where like you probably like all watch the VOD after, and you're like, man, all we had to do was just do like this one or two things different.
Yeah.
Do you think there was like any problems with like approach at all this past season, or do you just think it was a time issue?
That's a good question. I mean, cause like I won't lie, like the season just kind of felt like everything was going wrong.
Yeah.
Just like so much shit happening, and just like everything was like, it felt kind of fucked up. And so when we were like looking at it as a whole, because we talked about this like when we at LCQ, or no, I think it was after LCQ, like after everything, and we like sat down, we're like, hey, like let's just talk about like what went wrong, what can we do better for the next year. And so everyone was able to convey like what they thought, and I think that was like also really good.
Yeah, I think like long term, there's almost like no chance that these. I feel like such an idiot, but like I'm a big believer in your team, and I do feel like to an extent, and I was slightly worried last year when I saw this happen, when you guys ended up losing at that Ludwig Tarek Invitational. I know it's so silly, but like you just had such big players, and to lose anything, like even if it's a silly tournament, like slightly probably affected the mental, slightly affected the confidence. and all of a sudden like you're not playing like you said, you know, like that fearless confidence, like that is kind of taken out the sales at that point.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it just like never came back in? Because initially, you guys, I remember the rumors. You guys were fucking shitting on people in scrims back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always the way the rumors go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely like a good thing to like look at, like, cause I'm not sure, like it was kind of a disconnect there where like some people were like, oh, I'm fine to play it, and some people were like, yeah, I don't want to play it, just because I did feel like if we had played it, it was kind of like a lose-lose where like if we win the whole thing, it's just like, okay, yeah, they were supposed to win anyways. Well, but if we do lose, it's like, what the fuck, they lost to like tier 2 players or whatever. So I definitely think it was kind of a double-edged sword, because also it kind of allowed us to practice in a more actual like serious environment rather than like just from like the scrims. So there was like there's merit and like a disadvantage in like both, I'd say, like both ways you can look at it.
What is that like? But like having all the pressure of like the Sentinels, or like, you know, I felt that on 100 Thieves. Like I didn't know how I felt about it. I was like, holy shit, like this is insane, because you get, as a player, you get like the fan pressure, but then sometimes you get the org pressure. Like if you're on like Sentinels or if you're on 100 Thieves, but other orgs, you don't really get the org side pressure too much. Like,
Yeah.
like I would say like EG historically has been like one of those orgs. Like, what is that like? Being on an org, you know, that was willing to get rid of Def so quickly or fire Psycho right after a game. That was insane, like from a community perspective.
Yeah. Ideally, you don't want to feel pressure, but when you're actually competing and you're playing a competitive esport, you're gonna feel it. So I'm sure that like us as a team, and especially to players that like didn't feel that pressure previously, just like jumping onto the Sentinels train and just like getting it all at once is just, it can be kind of rough. I won't lie.
Yeah, I'm sure. I can only imagine what it was like for like Saucy and Pencata. I guarantee you they got called like traitors, like left and right.
Yeah.
When they joined Sentinels. Like, holy shit, their mental had to be insane for those like few months at first.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about like the direction of the game right now? Like completely going the other direction here. Like what they've done recently with like limiting abilities a little bit, upping the ults, the new maps coming in like Breeze and Sunset. Like, how do you feel about everything right now?
I think we're going to be seeing a lot of double controller in the current meta, just because like so many maps you can play like Viper and like some other controller, and it's really strong because Viper kind of acts as like a pseudo Sentinel, just the way that you're able to anchor a site, like you're actually able to like hold it down. And I think that's the really interesting about Viper, where you have that, but also you can cut off like map space, info starve a lot easier, catch lurks a lot easier. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of like double controller. So maybe if Riot wanted to like approach away from that, they probably would have to like nerf Viper even like a little bit more, because I definitely think she's really, really strong right now.
Do you think we'll keep seeing double controller until they nerf Sky too?
Yeah,
Sky's pretty important, right? Getting the info.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, probably like, yeah, Sky's info gathering, and also just like, oh man, how long ago was it where they made the dog like regular vision?
Bro,
like,
that dog is insane.
That thing gets so much info. It is ridiculous.
It goes forever. You can see so far.
Yeah, and you can like leap at the end of it too, and just like get even more. And you don't even have to like see it on the screen. You just fucking flick your mouse around and look at the radar.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually ridiculous.
Dude, yeah, that's another thing that you were really big on pushing, like the jet vision on the dash. I remember like you were one of the first people I'm telling you, like you found so many things within this game. And like that's why I really respect your creative side. Sorry, I got totally taken into the
No, all good.
I think I'm pretty much done with most of my like serious questions, but I am curious because like I helped design the HyperX Alloy keyboard. What was it like designing like a mouse? Were you like super involved with that?
Like with the Final Mouse stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't too actually like I wasn't too involved. Like I kind of like picked the colors and all, and like when we were talking, it's like they're like, damn, like wouldn't it be so cool? Like you're like an aimbot, right? So like let's just make it like metal looking and like make it like really clean. And I like there was like certain stuff where we were talking back and forth, like just like certain design stuff. I was kind of hoping like with something like that I was able to like kind of create a shape just because I'm like very particular with like that kind of stuff. Like I'm very nitpicky. But I'm cooking up something soon, so we shall see.
Another mouse?
Potentially.
Oh shit, let's go. Dude, I love how like I don't know how to explain it. Like I feel like when you make shit, like you're not making bullshit. You know,
Yeah.
like you're not pushing some shit that's fucking trash. Like, I mean, trust you a little bit here.
Yeah, it's just because like I have like that perfectionist side, and also like I'm a pretty big like people kind of meme on me for changing my peripherals all the time, but I'm kind of just a nerd for my peripherals where like I really like the design behind everything. Like I like knowing why a mouse feels this way or why like a mouse pad that's like slow like will feel good in like attack FPS. Like I kind of like the like little things like that, and I kind of take notes of it like mentally. And so in that closet right there, I literally have like almost every like mouse in the world. Just
What the
I literally have so many mice. I just kind of like I just like looking at it. It's kind of like a passion of mine. So I think like near the line, like if I like wanted to like stop doing competitive gaming, I'd probably want to approach like that kind of like side too, just because it's like something I'm pretty passionate about.
Dude, that's so dope. Have you ever like talked to any of like the mice developers and stuff? Well, obviously you were helping create this final mouse one, but like any of the other companies?
I've talked to a few. It's just really interesting like seeing like the different perspectives on mice. It was actually it's funny like talking to the final mouse guys because they're really their vision's like on like fingertip gripping and stuff, and I'm not really like a fingertip gripper, but I can kind of see like where they like I can like see why they think that way because like all the people like at the office like hold their mouse like this particular way, and so I just found it kind of funny.
Will you ever like will TenZ ever be like a one mouse for 1 year, 1 cent for 1 year type of person?
We'll see.
Never.
We'll
Literally
see.
never. It'll never happen. Are you on fast or slow sense right now?
I'm on a slow sense right now because I'm like watching a lot of like Valorant lately, and I realized that I think Valorant's actually a lot more suited for like slower senses, especially if I'm approaching like a less aggressive role. It feels a lot better playing on a sense that like I feel like I can get my easy shots most of the time and hit like because on the high sense it kind of felt like I felt like simple like trying to run in and just flick everything, and it wasn't like that consistent. When you're on one, you'll just feel insane, but when you're off one, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, am I a bot?
Dude, I don't know. I can't relate. Like, I don't feel like I've ever watched you and felt like you're a bot. I don't even know what to say right now, actually. It's so actually insane that you can change your, like, everything. You can literally change everything and somehow keep doing it. How is that even possible? Like, what did you do like coming up in order for that to even be possible? Like, did you constantly change stuff along the way?
Yeah, yeah, it's a problem.
It's a problem.
It was just kind of like growing up in CS and then copying like other people's senses, and that kind of like started the rabbit hole where I'd play really good with like a certain thing, and then I'd kind of like have to look at it like, why am I playing good? Like what does this sense have over like something else? And it's kind of interesting. I actually changed my sense depending on what I'm really doing. So when I was like playing Jet full time, I was on a higher sense just because like it's a lot easier for me to like maneuver my mouse around and like flick and stuff. But when I was playing Chamber, I literally dropped to like the lowest sense I've ever played, and it was just for like more like consistent shots, like having kind of like a Demon 1 style aim, like holding angles and stuff. I think is like really good with like that certain play style.
For someone like you, is there ever like a sense change regret? Like, do you ever like change your sense and like you miss a shot? You're like, man, fuck, I should not have changed it.
I did that sometimes. I definitely had moments like that. I was like, it would be weird because I would be at a high point And then my fucking brain is just like change, and
It's a scratch.
yeah, like I would literally be on the same thing for like a month, and I'd be owning, and then randomly I just get this thing. I'm like, fuck, like should I try like something different? But I really should not. But every single time it just creeps up on me, and it fucking wins.
It creeps up on you and wins. That's like the best way to put it, dude. You've got like a sickness. You're just like Shroudy. This is literally. It sounds like I'm talking to Shroudy right now. Like this is exactly what he used to be like. He would change his shit all the time and it would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
We'd always also Skadoodle actually. We would always troll Skadoodle because we would say like he chose his sensitivity by just like going to the slider and just like fucking just picking her into the spot.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I guess like really skilled people, you guys could just do that kind of shit. I have never been able to do it, so that's it. Just like it's like a world without gravity. Like I can't even understand what you're saying right now. Like it doesn't even make sense to me. You've been doing like a lot of content lately. Like, are we gonna see like a lot more of that in like 2024? Like you've been creating some bangers for Sentinels, if I'm being honest.
Definitely. I love doing content. I know like a lot of people don't really like doing content, or like a lot of players for some reason, but I think content's just really beneficial for like everyone. Like it's fun to like look back on for like memories. It's good for the fans, but also it's like good for your like own personal brand and like just growing it. So there's like honestly like no downsides to creating content. Plus it's fun. So I like doing it.
Hell yeah, dude. Like I've been cracking up at like all the stuff you've been like pumping out with Sentinels. It's been super cool. And
yeah,
I mean, I told you at Sentinel or at the Champions after party, but this is my fanboy side talking. You look like a fucking like a star or something, bro. Like just your style, like your hair and everything. Like I like your new style. Like you got like so much swag, like your jewelry, what you wear.
You can thank Kaide for that.
Oh yeah, she's dressing you up.
Yeah, if it wasn't for her, I'd be in fucking sweatpants every day. Like,
bro, it looks fire. I actually really like your hair. Like your hair is so creative and cool.
Oh, thank you. I saw this on I saw this on TikTok, and I saw like the person do like the blonde on the bottom and black on top. I was like, what the fuck? That's so cool.
Yeah, it's actually super cool to see on like a dude. Like, because sometimes like girls will get like the underneath like that. Anyway, I'm so in the fucking weeds right now, but I just wanted to compliment you on your swag and your look.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
But that's all I got, bro. If you want to give any shout outs or anything, feel free.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for having me on this. Appreciate everyone for whoever's going to tune in and watch this. Hope you have a good time. And yeah, thanks for having me once again.
Cool. Peace, guys.